Today, my friend, I want to talk about a mindset of latency. Now, the interesting thing about latency is that it's not something we often think about, especially when we are basically living almost week to week or paycheck to paycheck. Because the thing with latency is that it's past survival, where we're seeking to provide for our needs or the needs of our family, and pleasure in a way where we are just wondering what we're going to do this weekend. Latency is what survives beyond us. It's basically thinking decades or centuries down the road, which is why it makes for an interesting motivation for our characters, but also a way to almost demotivate them or to cause a stumbling block to characters. Because one of the key aspects of latency is that it provides a sort of immortality in a sense, mostly for a name and a story in a sense. It is a story that is passed on, a name that is passed on through something. And again, by having that name associated, generally the story is going with it. So it creates a way to live beyond a lifespan. So, or at least to have reach and be remembered beyond. Now, there are probably three sort of general ways legacy can be unfolded. The first is in the heirs or the children. So that can be like continuing the family bloodline or whatever, or even adoption or however you want to see it. It's basically having someone to carry on. In another way, we could consider mentors and their mentees or their trainings and so forth. Basically, having that kind of relationship where something is passed down to the next generation. And again, part of that is inheritance. Leaving an inheritance to our children is a way to have them remember you, and hopefully it can be passed on throughout the generations. Another way to think of legacy is creations. Now, we can think of this as inventions, where someone has invented something and it's just been so great for society that their name is remembered. And now sometimes it is the people who actually might innovate on an idea to make it better and better that some people will remember, but again, it's like the impact is almost still there in a sense. But there is also works of art, where we remember artists from centuries ago because of the art they've left us. And now the interesting point of that is how sometimes the art becomes more special once the artist is no longer around. But it's just something that can be seen as a legacy for someone. Another way to think of it is deeds and impact. Now now this is more based on the story, where we remember someone's deeds, what they did, and so forth, whether it's win a battle or fought for something or basically did something for the community. They've had some sort of deeds or impacts that they've done. And so all those things tend to contribute to legacy, which makes, and now again, there's kind of three pillars there. But when any of those is threatened, it's basically a loss of legacy. Not just an attack on those, but it's loss of that immortality in a sense. And again, some people highly value that immortality. And that's what to make a legacy being tainted so kind of interesting. And again, there are people who actually looked for ways to do that. Again, some people will be remembered for a mistake. Doesn't matter how high they reached beforehand. It doesn't matter if they climbed out on upwards and higher on the other end, because there will be one moment that will be remembered. But yet, the thing is, nobody's perfect. Just imagine if anyone was remembered for was their worst day. And again, we should probably think of it as, do I really want to remember these people for their worst day? Because what if I get remembered for my worst day? So that's just something to really think about, at least kind of in the general mindset. Now again, it can create interesting stories where a character has been remembered for their worst day. They've done something wrong, and now they're trying to get out of that, do something even better, and it's creating that motivation to make sure that they aren't remembered that way. Or maybe it's a family situation where their family is remembered for that deed, and so now the children is trying to be like, what do I do about this? Because everyone relates me back to that. Now, sure, there are some people who will be remembered for the atrocities they've committed. And some people will actually commit atrocities just to be remembered, just to get their name out, just for the fame. But yet, if someone has kind of prioritized having that good name, that legacy in kind of the public eye, but yet was a complete villain in private, then having their atrocities exposed can be almost the final nail in their defeat, and creates a sort of poetic justice to have basically the mask torn off and be seen for who they really are. Now, another thing is that sometimes it's not really a mistake, but a conscious act. That one act can really define someone. So we can think of Benedict Arnold, where he has become synonymous with a traitor. And the thing is, how do you treat a traitor after they've betrayed them, especially when they haven't succeeded? So his story didn't have a happy ending at all. But it's sort of interesting that a lot of times it's just become synonymous with traitor, and it's just sort of interesting how that has worked, because it did, at least for Americans. But it's just sort of one of those interesting things where, because of that one act, that's what he's known for. But I think the issue is with that losing legacy is that there's kind of a danger in that there's almost an arrogance of the now, in that in the present day we are the present day society is the best it's ever been and is just doing better and better and better. And there's also probably jealousy in a sense. But again, it might be toted in that arrogance in a sense, or that pride of having come so far. But there's a jealousy for, why aren't people giving me the respect that they give these people in the past, or they've given this person who's done this thing? So it's just sort of a thing to be aware of, in that some people can be really jealous of legacy, and so they just seek to tear it down, they seek to destroy it, they seek to make things just about the now. Nothing can ever be, oh, this was done centuries ago, but we're doing it. It has to be, we were the first person to ever do this. So it's just sort of an interesting thing to note when certain things happen. Because one thing to keep in mind is that most of society, where we are basically now, is the legacy of those who have come before us. And that is for better or for worse. Again, some people have greatly torn down society, and some people have built it up. But that's also whether we like those people or not. And sometimes it can be like, some people who have drastically benefited society may not be very well liked by people of the present day. So it's just something to really think about and ponder a bit. Because we can either keep trying to break legacy of that past down, or realize that maybe our part in history is to stand on the floor that has been built for us to make the next generation reach even higher. So, in a way, it's all a matter of how we look at things. But anyway, those are my thoughts on this. Why not share yours in the comments below? And if you enjoyed this video, you can like and share it so others might enjoy as well. Anyway, I'm Jonah, and you've been watching Lionsman Media, where we celebrate stories and lessons of them. Thank you for listening to my musings. Talk to you later, and have a great rest of your day.